Greetings to everybody. Welcome to the literature reading session. Before we go into the reading, I chose two paragraphs from revered Lalaji Maharaj's complete works of Ramchandra, Volume 4, that resonated to my heart. Lalaji Maharaj says, when the mind and the senses are in a balanced state, while a person continues to work, it is known as character. So senses are in balanced, mind is in balanced, and when we perform, that is character. And that is related to what Lord Krishna's philosophy talks about, and Vinobha Bhave is explaining to us about Swadharma. To act from the state of akarma, one's duty, which is Swadharma, and that is known as character. When the mind and senses are in a balanced state, while a person continues to work, it is known as character. And when the tendencies of the mind remain steady, it is known as condition. So we all wonder, what is my condition? The condition is at point 1, if our point is balanced enough because of thorough meditation, your behavior expresses that state of balance. For everything we are getting up excited, getting down. For one little thing happens, we become hyper. That doesn't show the condition. So what is the condition that Lalaji says is, tendencies of the mind remain steady. So senses are balanced, mind is balanced. Because of that balance, that particular point is radiating its natural tendencies, and that is known as a condition at every point. When there is steadiness or one-pointedness due to the refinement of the internal state, we can say that there is refinement of character and perfection has been attained. So steadiness and one-pointedness, they result to this refinement of this inner state of being. That is why revered Daji repeatedly keeps on saying, for every problem you give, he says meditate. And sometimes we wonder, why is he saying that? Because that is the solution for all problems. The true indication of reaching the final goal of spirituality is in attaining rightness and in action and perfection of character. That is why Daji gave us the intention, the sankalpa at point A, that correct thinking, right understanding, honest approach to life is happening in me. And it's also happening in all my brothers and sisters. With one sankalpa, he is trying to create that state of being where we arrive at that character. And with meditation and these sankalpas, we are coming to that state of being of balanced state where mind is balanced, senses are in balance, and from that place when we start to perform action, that is the true Swadharma, true akarma state of being, where Lord Krishna praises, the true Sthita Prajna which Lord Krishna praises. Another point that I wanted to read was, when the mind is thinking about something on its own or rests with a purpose on something for a period of time, and the effect of this influences a person's behavior, it is called meditation. So that is why Revered Daji says in the morning, take time to meditate, pause at the end and allow the condition, and that condition should prevail the entire day. So, because that condition is what influences a person's behavior. And if your morning meditation has influenced your behavior in such a way that you are remaining balanced, that means your meditation was done correctly. So, let me read it again. When the mind is thinking about something on its own or rests with a purpose on something for a period of time, and the effect of this influences the person's behavior, it is called meditation. So even though we are all meditating, we are not meditating because we are not arriving at that state of being which is affecting our entire day, our entire state of being, that is not going to be disturbed. Being pulled either by the attributes of God or by the very mention of beloved's name, which remains continuously resonating in the heart, is also called meditation. It is not thinking about the master, but when you think about him, there is a vibration that resonates in our heart. That is the remembrance. Another one that I wanted to read that resonated with me was the difference between contemplation and remembrance. The faculty of contemplation originates from the intellect, whereas Shabda originates from the creator. So, contemplation, it comes from wisdom, clarity, whereas Shabda, the sound, the ultimate sound, which Daji calls as transmission, it emanates from the center, from the highest consciousness for us that is available on the earth, is our Guru's consciousness. Remembrance has been given preference over contemplation. So that is why, even though people are not highly intellectual, they are simply have, some villagers that have no education, nothing, they are able to simply practice the meditation and be able to be in remembrance, and some of them have higher conditions than highly intellectual successful people. This is the reason remembrance has been given preference over contemplation, because it is considered that remembrance is the attribute of God, it's the nature of God. Besides, remembrance is more complete and pure. This is so because in contemplation we focus on repentance, whereas in remembrance our attention is on the divine whom we are remembering. In contemplation we do not pay attention to the remembrance of divine. So during introspection, bedtime, we are contemplating. There we want to look at ourselves, but in remembrance we are looking at him. So we do not in contemplation, we do not pay attention to the remembrance of God, nor do we focus on the attributes of God. The difference between remembrance and contemplation is similar to that between an original and copy of the original. So I read them, and before I forget, I wanted to share them. We will continue and hopefully finish this chapter. Even if the concept of Chaturvarna, we are reading from Talks on the Gita by Vinobha Bhave, page 294. But even if the concept of Chaturvarna is set aside, Chaturvarna means the four, from the Rig Veda's time, there was this classification of the human beings as depending on what they are good at. Some are priests and teachers, some are rulers and warriors, and some are merchants and farmers, and some are laborers and servants. Depending on what they do, not because where they are born, they have been divided into four classes. But even if the concept Chaturvarna is set aside, everybody in all the nations of the world has his swadharma, his duty, accrued to him even when there is no such system. All of us are born in a stream, in a continuum, in a particular situation that defines our duties. It is therefore imperative that one is not attracted to duties which are out of context from the situation that one is placed in, even though they appear good and attractive. At one point in India, we didn't have any farmers because all the villagers, they wanted their children to be educated and sent abroad. And so villages lost people to do the basic farming. That is why this concept of Swadharma came in. Like, if your father is a carpenter, if you by genes and by watching it, if you are an expert, find your expertise in that field, not that this is low, that is high. In fact, they should not be called duties at all. Often a distant thing looks attractive and a man is taken in by it. A man surrounded by fog feels that the fog is denser at a distance, although it is equally dense everywhere. Thus, things that are closer often go unnoticed, and man feels attracted to what is distant. But this is a delusion that must be shunned. Swadharma, your duty may appear to be commonplace, imperfect, and uninteresting. Still, that alone is good and beneficial. When a man is drowning in the sea, it is the log floating near him, however rough and misshapen, that will save him. There may be a number of beautiful pieces of polished and carved wood in the carpenter's shop. They are of no use to the man who is struggling for life in the sea. It is in his interest to catch hold of the log at hand. Likewise, the calling that has come to me as my duty is beneficial to me, even if it appears unattractive and commonplace. I should follow it and be immersed in it. Therein lies my redemption. If I set out to search for another sphere of service, I may end up losing both of them and also the very surge for service. One must therefore be ever absorbed in the performance of Swadharma. That is why Daji advises the youngsters that follow your inner calling. When one is absorbed in this duty of Swadharma, Rajas, the activity, because here we are talking about this topic of the Gunas, the Sat, Rajas, and Tamas, how we can conquer each one of them. And we are in this part of where how to conquer this too much of activity. Rajas loses its force because the mind gets concentrated. So, this is a good point. When one is absorbed in Swadharma, in their duty, Rajas, the too much activity, the frequency of activity, Rajas loses its force because the mind gets concentrated. Because when you are working, you are so concentrated, you overcome the field of the Rajas. It then never swerves from Swadharma. Fickle Rajas then becomes powerless. If a river is deep, it can contain within its bank the onrush of any quantity of water without getting unduly disturbed. The river of duty can likewise hold all the force and power of man. Energy spent in the performance of this duty is never too much. Pour all your energy into it, and the restlessness, which is the distinctive characteristic of the state of Rajas, will disappear. So, by performing duty, you overcome the Rajas. The sting of fickleness will be broken, and this is the way to conquer Rajas. How to deal with Sat? Because Sattva is the good frequency, it is the goodness, purity. But we are supposed to, if we truly want to transcend, we have to transcend both, all three, Tamas, Rajas, and Sat. So, how to transcend goodness? What now remains is Sattva. One must be very careful in dealing with it. How can one detach the self from Sattva? It is a matter for subtle thinking. Sattva state is not to be completely destroyed. We don't completely destroy it. Rajas and Tamas are to be completely rooted out, but the matter is different for the Sat. If a big mob is gathered at a place and it is to be dispersed, the police are ordered to shoot below the waist so that people are not killed, but they do get wounded. Sat is also to be wounded, it is not to be killed. After the disappearance of Rajas and Tamas, pure Sattva remains. So long as the body is there, one must be in some mode or the other. What then does detachment from Sattva means? This state of Sat, all of us experience after every meditation. After every meditation beginning, we are all like this, hyper, in the state of Rajas. Or too lazy because we just woke up and we didn't sleep good. But after meditation, we come to this state of poise, a balance, and you feel lighter in your essence, like you feel like you want to do the work, you get up and go around. That is the state of Sat. When we have Sat, we become proud of it also. This drags down the self from its true nature. We become proud of our purity and our goodness. If we want bright light from a lantern, the soot deposit inside its chimney has to be wiped off. But this is not sufficient. The dust on the outer surface of the chimney has also to be removed. Like he's giving the example of a olden days lamp with the glass. Not only the inside has to be cleansed, the out also has to be cleansed. In the same way, the soot of the tamas has to be wiped off, the dirt of the state of lethargy has to be wiped off, and the dust of the activity should also be removed so that the light of the self could spread. Only the clean glass of pure sattva then remains between the light and us. Should the chimney be broken now? No. The lantern will then become useless. It needs the chimney, it needs the sat state of goodness to reflect the light of divine from us. Therefore, instead of breaking the glass, one should fix a piece of paper on it in such a way that we can have the light but avoid its glare. I mean, he's giving examples in a mundane way, so we have clarity to work in this world, remaining in that state of akhlaq, which is state of um, akarma, doing our swadharma, doing our duty, and doing it without any attachment. We need to have a piece of paper that is the sattva. So let me repeat that. Only the clean glass of pure sattva, sat, then remains between the light and us. Your purity remains between you and him. Should the chimney be broken now? No. The lantern will then become useless. It needs the chimney. It needs the sattva. Therefore, instead of breaking the glass, one should fix a piece of paper on it in such a way that we can have the light but avoid its glare. So, conquering sattva means elimination of pride. So, in the state of purity, humbleness helps because that humbleness refines the ego. So there is humility in us. There is no pride of being good in us. Because good, like apple needs to be an apple. There is no pride in apple being an apple. It's its nature. Our nature is to be good. And when we acquire that, we are hiding under the illusion of pride and ego, which is the Vidya Maya that we talked about. We are aware that Vidya, ego is not good for us, but we are enjoying and trapped in that whirlpool. So, conquering sattva means elimination of pride about and attachment to sattva. Because some people are attached to that. Oh, I am good, I am serving in this, I am doing work in the villages, I am doing giving sittings. All that we submit to the Lord. We should make use of sattva, but that has to be done with care and skill. Sattva should be freed from pride. So, how to overcome the pride that I have good in me, sattva in me? Constant practice is a way which will make it our second nature. Continuous performance of sattvic actions withers the pride about it. Through such actions, Sat becomes an integral part of our being. It should not remain a guest because being good is a natural thing. It should rather become a member of the family. We feel proud of things that we do once in a while. We sleep daily, but we do not consider it something special and do not talk about it. But if a patient has no sleep for days, then has sleep for a while, he would tell everybody about it. An even better example is that our breathing. We breathe for 24 hours a day, but never talk about it or brag about it. A piece of straw may be carried along the stream of a river for miles. It will not brag about it. But swimming a few feet against the current will make one extremely proud of it. In short, one does not feel proud of something when it is natural. We feel proud when some good actions gets done through our hands. Why? Because it has not happened in the routine course. When a child does something good, the mother pats it on the back. Otherwise, the child is familiar with the mother's scolding only. When in the thick darkness of night there is only one firefly, look how proudly it shows itself off. It does not display its light steadily all the time. It twinkles and stops and twinkles again. The intermittent light fascinates us. A steady light does not attract us to that extent. Unbroken continuity makes a thing appear natural. One does not feel that there is anything special about it. Likewise, if all our actions become sattvic, sattva will become part of our nature. That is why sometimes, people who are around Master, because they are so used to his goodness, they take him for granted. Some of us who go once in a while, one little look from the Master, we are very happy because we are only experiencing his Sat state for one moment, which is very precious. A lion is not proud of its prowess. It is not even conscious of it. Sattvic attitude should thus become so natural that one is no longer conscious of it. Being good should become so natural, we are not even aware that we are being good. We are being ourselves. Giving light is natural to the sun. It takes no pride in it. In fact, for it to exist means to give light. A sattvic man should attain the same state. Sattva should be deeply ingrained in him. It should pervade every pore of his being. Then he would not feel proud of it. This is one stratagem for subduing and overcoming sattva. Another is to give up attachment even to that state of sat. Pride and attachment are two distinct things. This is a subtle idea which can be understood more readily by means of illustrations. The pride of Sat state may disappear, but attachment to it may still remain. That you may not be proud of it, but we are attached to our good deeds. And that's what happened to Karna when he was dying. Lord Krishna comes to him. He's not able to die. He says, now give me the karma of all the good deeds you have done because you are attached to them. And so Karna has to say, okay, here, Lord, take that also. And then he dies. So this is what he's talking about. The pride of Satma may disappear, but attachment to it still remain. Take, for example, breathing. One does not feel proud about it, but attachment to it is very much there. We cannot stop breathing even for a few minutes. It goes on through there is no sense of achievement. Socrates was snub-nosed and people used to make fun of it. But the witty Socrates would say, in fact, it is my nose which is beautiful as wide nostrils take in more air. The point is that one feels attachment to Sat state. For example, compassion for all creatures. It is a good quality, but we should be able to keep away from the attachment to it. We should have compassion, but no attachment to it. The saints can guide others because they possess sattva. Their compassion attracts people to them so much so that the whole world showers love on them. As love has reached its zenith in them, they receive love from the whole universe. Because they have arrived at the state of being able to love everybody, others are loving him. They receive love from they give up attachment to their bodies, but the whole world gets attached to them. It cares for them. But the saints should give up this attachment too. They should get free from this bondage also. They should separate the self from this love and adoration, which is their great reward. So when the masters, they are not even attached that we are loving him. They are in the limelight. True masters are not attached to that. They should separate the self from this love and adoration, which is their great reward. They must not feel that they are somewhat special or exceptional. And this is the difference between the master and us. If some people love us, we immediately like, oh, they love me, they follow me, I am great. All this pulls us down. Whereas the master is not even attached to it. Sattva should be assimilated in this way. Thus, first pride about sattva should be conquered, and then attachment to it should be conquered. Pride can be conquered through constant practice of sattvic actions, pure actions. To conquer attachment, one should work without desire for fruit and dedicate to the Lord the fruit which is received because of sattva. So, because of our actions, good actions, whatever fruit we receive, we dedicate it to the master. So, this problem our master has solved in remembrance. That is why I read the part about remembrance in the beginning from Lalaji. In remembrance, there is purity because it originates from the divine. So that is why Babaji gave us this exercise of remembrance. When you are in remembrance, you are remembering the origin. And there, it doesn't matter whether you do good, bad, whatever it is all His. When sattva is fully assimilated in life, the fruit of sattvic actions appear before us in the form of supernatural powers or fame. But that should also be regarded as worthless. A tree never eats its own fruit, howsoever attractive and delicious it may be. Renunciation is sweeter than enjoyment. Dharmaraja rejected the ultimate fruit of all the merits acquired in life, the enjoyment of pleasures in heaven. That was the crowning finale to his sacrifices. He was entitled to enjoy the sweet fruit, but he enjoyed it, the merit would have, but had he enjoyed it, the merit would have exhausted. Because when he was entering the heaven, there was a dog that following him. Rest of the people, his wife and brother and everybody fall apart, and only he was able to enter the doors of the heaven, and the dog followed him, and that was dharma. And when they said, you can come in, but you cannot let the dog come in, he immediately let go of the heaven itself. Let me go to hell. So he even didn't have attachment towards the heavenly things because he was bound by the duty, swadharma. He would not have got caught in the cycle of life, birth and deaths. How great was Dharmaraja's sacrifice! It always stands before my eyes. Thus, pride about sattva is to be vanquished by ceaseless performance of sattvic actions, and then attachment to it should be conquered by remaining detached from the fruit of actions and dedicating it to the Lord. So, how do we do all this? Our simple solution from our master is humbleness. If we remain humble, that means we are not even aware of what's happening. He is making it happen at this moment. If he wants me to say something, I say it. If at this moment he wants me to do something, I do it. Otherwise, it is not my problem. The concluding point: self realization and refuge in bhakti, devotion. Now, to conclude, one last point. Even if you imbibe in sattva, the pure actions, vanquish your ego, and give up attachment to the fruit of actions, you shall continue to be vulnerable to the onslaught of rajas and tamas from time to time, so long as you are saddled with the body. You may for a while think that you have conquered the rajas and the tamas, that is activity state and lazy states. We think that we are conquering it. We have vanquished our ego and we are imbibing in true actions and being detached. But they will return again and again with a vengeance. So they are saying that at any moment, even though we think we transcended them, they may come back and attack us. They are in the enemies in the back. That is why we have to face our shadow self with contemplation, introspection. That bedtime contemplation, looking into ourselves, is very important. So we have to be alert. You must therefore be ever alert. As the sea rushes in to encroach the land, the waves of rajas and tamas dash against the mind and make inroads into it. They should never be allowed to do so. Vigilance should not slacken even for a moment, keeping vigil on the heart, like our Daji says. And it must also be born in the mind that the danger continues to lurk in the background despite all the vigilance so long as there is no self knowledge, no self realization. It must therefore be attained at any cost. So we have to have the understanding that we are vulnerable at any moment. That is why we saw all the masters, they write down in the history where who fell at what point, what quality made them fall. And you will wonder, what's going to happen. It's not the judgment. They are great masters. Even if they fall, they'll rise and move forward. It's like scientific experiments. Some experiments fail, some experiments succeed, but the end of it, they will conquer it and bring an innovation, which is a scientific innovation. Same way, in this self journey of ours, many times we fall, we get up. We need the backing of the knowledge. We need the backing of the self realization. We need to do all these things. But what protects us, he says, bhakti. That's what Narada Bhakti Sutras. The eventually arriving human being arriving at his fullest state of potency is that state of ultimate devotion, because the nature of that absolute is in that devotion, the feeling, creating the condition of devotion, and from there you can never fall. So mere vigilance is not sufficient for this purpose. Then how could self knowledge be attained? Will constant practice be sufficient? No. There is only one way, and that is bhakti, devotion, with all the earnestness and love. You may conquer rajas and tamas, become steadfast in sattva, and make renunciation of the fruit of a habit. But still, this is not enough to attain self knowledge, and there is no redemption without self knowledge. The grace of the Lord is essential for this purpose. Through loving devotion, we should make ourselves worthy of it. Eventually, the essence of Bhagavad Gita culminates in the Sahaj Marg practice of basic nuances, basic practices that our masters have given us. Meditate, do cleansing, do repentance, be connect, sleep in his lap, be in remembrance, perform in remembrance, and arrive at that state of devotion. So, through loving devotion, we should make ourselves worthy of it. I see no other way. Arjuna asks the same question at the end of this chapter, and the Lord answers, be devoted to me, with mind absolutely one pointed and without any desire for reward. Serve me. He who serves me thus can cross the illusion of Maya. Otherwise, this mysterious Maya is hard to cross. This is the easy way of bhakti. This is the only way. A lot of times in bhakti, we want this self-importance and, we want this attention. All this is all the trap of the Maya. We have to let go. And solution is in humility and arriving at that state of true bhakti. So what did Lord say? Be devoted to me with mind absolutely one pointed and without any desire for reward. Serve me, who serves me thus can cross the illusion of Maya. Otherwise, this mysterious Maya is hard to cross. This is the easy way of bhakti. This is the only way. That concludes chapter 14.